Bada boom. Hell yeah, in preparation for 28 years later, I'm about to rewatch 28 days later and then 28 weeks later. It's about to be a trilogy review. Review. Yo, what's going down? Your homie Jay Green bringing y'all a 3-part review. We got 28 days later coming up, 28 weeks, and then now the brand new Danny Boyle, Alex Garland film, 28 years later. 28 days later stars Cillian Murphy, aka Oppenheimer, aka Tommy, a fucking Peaky Blinder, Naomi Harris, and Brendan Gleeson. This movie was directed by Danny Boyle of Slumdog Millionaire, Trainspotting, and Sunshine fame. And it was written by Alex Garland, who would go on to make movies like Ex Machina or Ex Machina, depending on how you choose to pronounce it, and Annihilation. Now, I wasn't really a big fan of Annihilation, but a lot of people liked it. Now, simply put, 28 Days Later is a zombie-type film that kind of changed the landscape of zombie post-apocalyptic type films from there on after, right? This movie basically starts out with, I would say, PETA, or some people trying to be like PETA, saving some monkeys that are being tested on in this research facility that happen to be infected with this rage virus, right? They go up in there, they're trying to free these monkeys turn on them ASAP Rocky, and in that moment in the film, I'm wondering, what is this chick thinking the second that that monkey rips into her neck with these sharp-ass fangs? Anyway, I digress. Point is, they get infected instantaneously. They got rage flowing through their veins. They're biting people. This infection spreads like wildfire. And 28 days later, all of this region is vacant, empty. It's been evacuated or everyone is dead. Damn, they in some hot water, right? Cut to Cillian Murphy waking up in the hospital. Nobody's there. He's wandering around trying to figure out what the F happened. He ends up sometime later running into an infected person. And as he's running away, he ends up meeting up with this group of people that kind of save him, let him know, yo, this is what's been jumping off the last 28 days. One of those people is Naomi Harris, and she's kind of like the leader of that little group. As they go along, you would imagine some people die, some people live. They end up meeting Brendan Gleeson's character, who has a daughter, and they're kind of bringing attention to their spot with some Christmas lights in their apartment and whatnot. And they realize, yo, in order for us to get to this one area that might be a safe zone, we need other people. We're not going to be able to do it alone. So now that they got Cillian Murphy, Naomi Harris's character, Brendan Gleeson, and his daughter, they're making their trek to this safe zone. And along the way, we don't really get that much of the infected, right? This movie is not all about the zombie apocalypse in that sense, but it's more so about the human element, right? What would you do to survive? How are you going to survive? How does this situation affect people's mentality? Towards the end of the film, when they finally get to this safe zone type area, they run into a band of soldiers that are like, yo, we're the only ones remaining. And these soldiers have a very interesting thought process on how they're going to repopulate the earth. And it's very uncomfortable. Let's just say that, okay? So with that being said, we see what this type of a situation can do to a person's mind, heart, mentality, willingness to survive, their morals and values. Will they stay on that moral high ground, or will they go to a place that is deep beneath that level that they would usually be at in order to move forward? What are they gonna do, right? And that's kind of what this movie is about. So this first movie, 28 Days Later, I thought was terrific. When I first watched it, I thought it was dope, but upon rewatching it just recently, I'm a little bit more invested in it as I've grown since then, right? This movie came out back in like 2002, 2003. So my mind has changed a lot since then. So I kind of like the fact that it takes its time. When the rage monsters and the zombie swag is jumping off on screen, it is intense and it is in your face. The way that Danny Boyle chose to direct that first movie is kind of on the grimier, grainier side. If I'm not mistaken, I don't even think they use like regular movie cinema cameras. They use like TV cameras or something like that. Because I own this movie on Blu-ray, and even on Blu-ray, it looks very muddy and like hard to kind of see in certain scenes. But it's a vibe and it's an experience, and I kind of like that. I never saw that movie in theaters, so enjoying it on Blu-ray has been a great time. Now, 28 Weeks Later, the sequel to 28 Days, is not written nor directed by Danny Boyle or Alex Garland. This movie is actually directed by Juan Carlos Fresnedillo, and it is written by Rowan Joffe and Enrique Enrique, and a screenplay by Jesus. That's dope. Now, 28 Weeks Later, this is basically 6 months after the rage virus has pretty much taken all of Great Britain, you dig? And we got the US military coming through to kind of help out with some quarantine areas, kill some infected, so on and so forth. Now, at this point in time, this movie is giving us some knowledge points as that the infected will starve and they will die off. Okay, so they're basically trying to kind of clear out the area by them eradicating the infected and the infected kind of eradicating themselves, just basically based off of starvation. They have people in these quarantine areas. They have kind of a way to secure these quarantine areas with guards on towers and on the buildings watching out for situations jumping off, things of this nature. They also have contingency plans that will be seen later on in the film. Now, 28 Weeks Later, we're getting a whole new cast of characters, and the most notable is going to be Robert Carlyle playing Dawn, Catherine McCormick playing Alice, Jeremy Renner playing Doyle, and Idris Elba playing Stone. Now, basically, Dawn and Alice are husband and wife, and they're kind of sheltered together, separated from their children, right? The movie opens up where they're in this house, separated from their children, who knows where, right? And some boy comes screaming out of nowhere, "Ah, let me in. They're chasing me," so on and so forth. Of course, everyone's like, F that. You better keep this house locked up because you don't know what this guy is going to bring in. Maybe he can be infected. Maybe the infected are literally hot on his tail. Anyway, they end up letting him in. Infected are hot on his tail. They break into the house, pretty much start killing everybody, right? Dawn and Alice run up the stairs, and then Alice veers off to go get this kid because this kid's just kind of running into some random room. Now, for me, a husband and a father, I'm thinking to myself, look, one, I'm trying to get back to my kids. Two, I'm trying to be with my wife. But if she dips off and there's zombies chasing her and I'm over here, come on, that's a hard decision. I ain't gonna front on you. We're in the apocalypse. Anyway, she goes to save this kid and Dawn panics. There's a zombie infected right between them, snarling and growling, and they share this look, and he dips out, closes that door like, what the just happened? This is crazy. And the look on her face, I haven't seen a look on a character's face in cinema like that since the movie Heat with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. And if you've seen the movie Heat, you understand the look that he gets from this chick in that film. You know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you better go do that research. That being said, the opening sequence after that to this movie is one of the best that I personally have ever seen in any zombie film. I challenge you to show me a sequence better than this. And I'm gonna tell you why off the top before I go back into the character swag. Because of the way that they chose to shoot this film, I feel like they kind of took a lot of inspiration and swag from the first 28 days later. They didn't straight try to recreate the will. So I do like that about this movie. The way that they're shooting this scene, you got this dude who's just left his wife. He doesn't know where his kids are at. Infected are coming in, killing everybody. This man is running for his life. Now, one of their crew had already dipped out and he went to the boat dock, right? So he's running to the boat dock trying to get to that boat and get to safety. Meanwhile, you got the infected, boom, busting through the walls like the Kool-Aid man, chasing him down the way. You got drone footage, you got on the ground, you know, someone's probably carrying that camera, so you got that shaky cam swag that makes you feel like you're in the action. So right now, I'm on the edge of my seat like, is this guy gonna make it? Because the way that these movies kind of go, anybody can get it, right? And that's definitely how 28 Weeks Later rocks. Anybody can get it. So you're always on the edge of your seat when it comes time for our people that we're following. Back to the action. Now this man is running as hard as he can, trying to get away from these infected. Meanwhile, the infected are running at him like they're in the combine and they're Saquon Barkley running like a 440 or some shit like this. Like they're catching up to him, gaining on him quick. So the anticipation and the suspense is high right now, right? Meanwhile, the camera kind of pans to the side of him, and then in the distance over the hillside, you see like a horde of infected running over. So now we know as the viewer, he's got people hot on his tail. He just left his wife. He's running as fast and as hard as he can. These infected are like no sprinters apparently, coming over the hillside behind him, swarming in. Dope, right? He finally sees this dude at the dock like, yo, Jeff, we'll call him Jeff. I don't remember what his name was. Yo, Jeff, get the boat ready. He's taking boat ropes off, all that sort of stuff. Jeff's jumping in the boat. Boom, he jumps in the boat. Now, in normal zombie films, up until this point, up until 28 days later, number one, they didn't really run at you full speed. They're like walking slow so you can kind of run away, right? Number two, you didn't really see zombies like cutting across the water, swimming, or doing any of these things. But because this is a rage virus, it's not necessarily like they're dead. They're not zombies. We'll call them zombies just because it's easy, but they're not zombies, okay? They're infected with this rabies-like rage virus. So that being said, these zombies is getting in the goddamn water, right? They swimming and they trying to claw them off the boat. And the way that the camera is like so kind of in your face with this action, you know, you think he's in a small little boat, right? It's got a motor and everything, but it can easily be tipped over. So I'm thinking, shoot, if enough infected start grabbing the side of that boat, or he tips a little too much trying to kick him off, he's done for. That's it. We fade to black and then we pick up wherever we're going to pick up at. He ends up making it, but I'm telling you right now, that opening scene is legit. The music that I used in my little opening scene for this review is from that opening scene. It's dope as hell. All right, back to the character swag. So he makes it. His wife apparently dead, gone, eaten up by the infected, okay? We got Jeremy Renner, he's a soldier, military soldier. And then we have Idris Elba. He's basically like the commanding chief, if you will, the general, if you will, is kind of orchestrating this whole quarantine support area for Great Britain. Now they're busing people in that they found that are obviously not infected. And on these buses, they actually have this guy's kids, if you can believe that. Damn. So when he gets there, he's been there for some period of time. One of the buses comes in and they say, yo, we found your kids. Right? He meets up with the kids and then he's talking to them. They're asking about their mom. This man lies on them, talking about, I saw her die. There's nothing I can do, this, and that. And that's one thing. Now we know every lie is eventually going to come to the light as truth, what really went down. So we're waiting on that. Meanwhile, he's kind of like the local handyman around this area. So he's definitely got some keycard access. Later on, the kids are wondering what really happened to mom, right? They're trying to remember her, but they're kind of forgetting. So they come up with this plan to dip back into the city, escape the guards, and see if they can find their mom. Dumb as hell. At this point in time, I'm irritated. This is one of the issues that I do have with this movie, is there's a lot of things that just happen that honestly, if you were in a post-apocalyptic situation like this, I don't care how young or old you are. Are you really doing these things that you know can lead to legitimate harm, legitimate issues, not just to you, but to every freaking buddy? I digress. Point is, they dip back into the city. Randomly, this woman is alive. Apparently, she, like Ellie from The Last of Us, which, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure this movie came out before The Last of Us game was made. I'll figure it out after I finish this review and put the information on screen. But this woman has some level of immunity. She has the virus, but yet she's not necessarily infected to the point where she's raging out, okay? The kids find her, the military finds them, they bring the wife in, they bring the kids in, and then they go and tell Don, yo, we got your kids back. Good news, right? He's like, oh my God, thank you so much. But we also found your wife. And he's like, oh my, what the fuck? So this guy is now effed. So now we're in this zombie apocalypse type film and we're dealing with some family drama, okay? He eventually goes to see her. He doesn't know that she's like been bitten, right? And ends up kissing her. He gets all effed up, starts raging out, kills her in the room. She's like chained to a bed at this period of time because they don't know how dangerous she is or isn't. Kills her, breaks out of this place, starts killing everyone, spreads the infection. Everyone starts popping off into these rage monsters. The kids are running, yada, yada, yada. Jeremy Renner's character and a couple other people are trying to save him. They're outside in the real world. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I forgot. We got Rose Byrne in this thing. Rose Byrne is like a doctor who's doing tests on this wife, all the people that are coming in, making sure that they're good, they're healthy, they're not infected. She's still doing research, trying to figure out ways to defeat this rage virus. So, that being said, all this mayhem is jumping off. Jeremy Renner and Rose Byrne's character are helping these kids get to safety as well as anyone else that they can. But for the most part, the general is like, nah, F that, kill them all. So they're setting off bombs, like blowing up all over in the city to try to contain this. Because remember, in the words of a wise man in cinema, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. That was Spock from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Back to the action. So everything is blowing up, going crazy, mayhem, rage, infected, running everywhere. We're back where we started. You feel me? The boy may or may not have been bitten, and he may or may not have the same level of immunity that his mom had. We don't know. His sister's like, hey, come on, don't worry, we're gonna get to safety. She can't leave him behind, that's her brother, right? So they're flying off in a helicopter, and we're kind of left wondering very ambiguously, okay, so then is this kid gonna be okay? Or is he gonna flip and he's gonna just start this thing off from scratch? I wish IMDb on the internet would have the same layout as IMDb on your phone. I just want to find, oh, there we go. I'm tripping, I'm stupid. Now, 28 years later, as the title would suggest, comes 28 years after the original events from 28 Days. This movie, again, is directed by Danny Boyle, and it is written by Alex Garland. Now, I had heard that Danny Boyle and Alex Garland had a little bit of a falling out during the first 28 Days later. Some differences of opinion and creative stance, right? Which would kind of make sense because Danny Boyle at this point in time is mainly a director, and Alex Garland at this point in time is mainly a writer. So Alex Garland doesn't really understand every level that Danny Boyle might be trying to put on point, and vice versa. So now that Alex Garland has gotten his feet wet with some directorial opportunities in Ex Machina and Annihilation, good films that definitely got some good reception, they kind of come together now and create a really dope film. This movie was great. Now, let me preface this just a little bit before I give you all of my thoughts and feelings, and I'm not going to spoil anything about the movie. I'm just going to give you some touch points. So when I say that this movie is great, when I saw the first 28 Days later, it's not like when I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, best movie ever. No, it was a movie that kind of grew on me. I knew that it was cool, fly, and dope, but as I've watched it more and more, and as I've grown with it and have a bigger knowledge base of cinema and all the things that cinema can be, I respect that movie so much more, and I like it that much more. So I'll put it on a higher list. You feel me? With 28 Weeks Later, I understand that maybe a lot of people don't really care for 28 Weeks Later. It's definitely a different swag in the sense that 28 Days Later is definitely more of a indie, quiet, calm, human element type story involving some rage monsters, whereas 28 Weeks Later is a little bit more mainstream, if you will, right? We get a little bit more action, a little bit more infected, a little bit more rawness in the regards of a slasher type vibes. of what that movie is putting on screen. But we also still get a little bit of that human element like we had in the first one. You know, what would you do in this situation? In this film, rejoining Danny Boyle and Alex Garland, along with a great cast of characters like Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson from Kick-Ass fame, and let's not forget about the masterpiece Kraven the Hunter.
You didn't see that coming.
Ralph Fiennes as Dr. Kelson, and Alfie Williams as Spike. Now, Alfie Williams as Spike is basically kind of leading the film in a way, right? And this kid is great. I've often said on my channel and in my reviews, forget child actors, but every now and then you're gonna find some really great child actors, right? They serve their role and they serve their purpose, but then they add and they take it up a notch. And I think that that's what this kid Alfie did. He was dope. So knowing that this movie primarily has like a young child protagonist, if you will, it didn't really matter. He was hanging with the big dogs. Him and Ralph Fiennes played really, really well off of each other. Him and Aaron Taylor Johnson played extremely well off of each other. And I really dug the relationships that he built between him and Aaron Taylor Johnson's character and him and Ralph Fiennes' character, and the emotion and the depth and the warmth and the relationship that he shared with his mom, played by Jodie Comer. I'm telling you right now, all of the elements from what he was dealing with while they're kind of quarantined in their area. He's basically trying to get his mom some medicine. She's sick. She's not feeling well. She's got some things going on. You got to watch the movie to really uncover all that. Okay. And then meeting the doctor, played by Ralph Fiennes. All of those moments, all of those elements that go into this kid, this young guy, being able to deal with life from the issue, the quarantine, outside in the real world, taking care of his mom, and then getting with the doctor and understanding, hey, this is what life is about to be for forever and a day. Who knows? I thought phenomenal. The writing, the directing, the events, the action sequences leading up, allowing time to breathe in those moments of emotion when necessary, and time to clench your fist in those moments of stress and panic and tension. Everything was great, top to bottom, right? What I'll say also is that I saw an interview with Danny Boyle, and he talked about how he filmed the first movie and how he filmed this movie, and how he just kind of takes a thought process into filming other movies. And he's not always like, the technology has to be super top notch. More so what he's about is the vibes, the feel, the texture, the tangibility, the experience that you get when you're watching the movie. And if you've seen his movies like Trainspotting, Sunshine, Slumdog Millionaire, right? The first 28 Days Later, and then now this one, Danny Boyle is one of those names that has been known. I would like to think that he's kind of a household name in a sense. You know, not necessarily every house, but maybe 50% of the houses on the block would know a Danny Boyle, right? But he's a director that I think a lot of y'all, if you haven't gone and watched his movies, should go and watch them, because of the fact is he's trying to give you that experience. And a lot of the time, we're seeing movies in recent years where some might have a great story, some might have dope visuals, but are we getting a tangible, visceral feeling from these films? And I feel like I get that from his film. And so from the first 28 Days Later to this 28 years later, I feel like I'm in that ish. He's using all types of, you know, an iPhone, drones, other types of cameras, right? And different riggings like that bullet time swag that they were using in The Matrix. So he's using all different types of elements to give you a great story, a great feeling and experience on the big screen. So this is a film that I do suggest you catch on the big screen, not just so you can pay attention, because it is not your normal typical zombie type movie. As I said before, it's going to be a little bit of a slower pace. We got great development for the characters. We have great moments of thought, right? There's something that the movie is trying to say to you. Allow it to be taken in. There's something that the movie is trying to make you feel. Sit in that quiet, calm position before it jumps in your face. You know what I'm saying? Those types of things. That's what the cinema is for. That's what watching a movie in the theater is for. So do not wait for this one on streaming. Do not wait for it on Blu-ray or 4K. I'm going to pick it up on Blu-ray and 4K. I can't wait. But go see it in the theater with a group of people. Try to see it with a crowd of people if you can, because there's some stuff that jumps off in this movie. It's pretty shocking. It's pretty shocking, right? So it's nice to be in a crowd of people that all kind of feel the same way that you feel in that moment and share that experience. This movie was dope. It looks great. It's nasty. It's violent. It's visceral. It's tangible. You feel like you can feel it, right? Aaron Taylor Johnson, phenomenal. Ray Fiennes, phenomenal. Alfie Williams, phenomenal. Jodie Comer, phenomenal. A great installment to the 28-day franchise. Now, I heard from someone that I work with that apparently this movie is supposed to skip over the events of 28 weeks later. But when I was looking up all my information on IMDb and the internet, nothing said specifically that this is skipping over the events that happened in 28 weeks later. So for me, this is a complete trilogy with no retroconning or anything like that. With no retrocon? Yeah. With no retroconning of the second film. It's clean all the way through. And to me, the first movie, classic. Love Cillian Murphy. Love Brendan Gleeson. That movie was phenomenal. 28 weeks later, a different vibe. Yes, a little bit more mainstream, if you will, but I still feel that that movie holds the true characteristics and integrity and intentionality of 28 Days Later. And then, I mean, we got some legends in the making, if you will. Danny Boyle and Alex Garland coming through with the third one. Great time at the movies. Happy I was able to see this one on the big screen. Can't wait to get it on Blu-ray and 4K. Hey, yo, I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you enjoyed that little thing I did at the beginning with my son. But as far as this review, we done here, baby. I'm out.